So the leaks for Boruto chapter 75 are out again, and this not only spoils the new chapter, but the entirety of Boruto, because Boruto uses the Jogan to get a glimpse into the future, which reveals so much new information about Naruto that we never had before. We now know that the Jogan can see the future because Momoshiki could see the future. And now that Boruto practically has Momoshiki's power now, we know that there's a good chance that Boruto's Jogan will have a time manipulation ability of some sort, including future sight, because it's not out of the realm of impossibilities, especially when we know that Ada, for example, has the ability to see the past and the present. Now, chapter 75 begins with Amado telling Naruto and Shikamaru about Daemon and Ada's ability, such as Ada's ability to see the past and present, and about Daemon's ability to reflect. And Kawaki thinks about slapping Daemon just to test how it works. Amado reveals that his daughter Akebi died of a disease. So in desperation, he made a clone called Delta. That's crazy. Like, I did not see that coming. So Akebi looks like a splitting image of Delta. Now, Amado tried to transfer his daughter's consciousness and memory into its Delta, but it didn't work. And that's when Ishiki met Amado and he told him that he would help revive his daughter. Delta appears in front of Mitsuki and Sarada unexpectedly and requests to meet Ada. Sumire rushes over and puts Delta to sleep by saying her command words. Now, Amado also tells us about the new Otsutsuki, who is SHIBAI. It sounds like a Korean cuss word, like anyways, Ada and Daemon were created using a part of this god's DNA. Now, if you remember the power of Hashirama cells, imagine having SHIBAI DNA. Like, this is why Daemon's got the crazy ability to reflect and Ada the crazy ability to see the past and the present simultaneously or together. This also answers the question to that theory that we all came up with, which was, who are the two Otsutsuki members that we didn't know about? And the reason why we knew that there was an additional 2 members. When Sasuke was searching for the hideout of the Otsutsuki, he eventually finds 2 things. A wall containing all of the Otsutsuki members and also a 10-tails. So on this wall, containing the Otsutsuki family member symbols, when Sasuke goes and touches each symbol, outshines the correlating Otsutsuki hologram. So one by one, we see Sasuke reveal several of the characters. For example, he touches the symbol for Momoshiki, and then Momoshiki appears in a circle. And then he also makes the observation like, these symbols are in pairs of 2. And so he notices that Momoshiki is with Kinshiki, Kaguya is with Ishiki, and then he's like, man, I can't even begin to imagine who the other 2 are, or if the other Otsutsuki members. But before he's able to, touch the ones that are broken, that's kind of scratched out, this is when Jigen appears. Now, the interesting thing is that 2 of these symbols were scratched out. So what does that mean? Were they like kicked out, exiled, or killed? Or did they die perhaps? Just from a random reason? Like, why were they scratched out? So all we know is that there's 2 other Otsutsuki and we're not really sure what happened to them. But we do know that one of these symbols is SHIBAI. Now, the interesting thing is people have been trying to figure out who SHIBAI is, and they concluded that SHIBAI kind of has the same facial hair as Amado, so maybe they're one and the same person. And the reason why I think that's a bit of a stretch is it'd be weird for SHIBAI to just be like posing as some weaker person, like a genius professor named Amado, but it could also explain why Amado knows so much about all the Otsutsuki. That is to say that because he is an Otsutsuki himself, he probably understands everything about karma, how they're made, and so on. But the strange thing is, why would he pose as some really weak person? Like, maybe he's trying to get information out of the other Otsutsuki by pretending to be weak, kind of like how Naruto was pretending to be weak to Delta. I think it's highly unlikely that SHIBAI is Amado. Now, towards the end of the chapter, Boruto gets a glimpse into the future and we see Sarada saying, they're over here, pointing to Sage Mode Mitsuki and Kawaki, in which it says that Mitsuki provoked Kawaki. How? We're not really sure, but we do know that it was in fact Mitsuki who was the guy who provoked Kawaki. An interesting thing is Boruto is nowhere around. So what is Boruto doing in this whole thing? Why is he not, splitting them up, trying to prevent their fight? We know that Sarada seems to have been taking an interest in trying to find it. Was Boruto with Sarada? When you can see the future, there's a lot of consequences, right? So on the last page of the chapter, look at Boruto's expression after he saw the future. And the side text of this panel says, revealed one after another, and suddenly the sight that Boruto saw was,
我有冰淇淋，我很喜欢冰淇淋。
and then it just cuts off there. So we don't know what Boruto saw, but he's certainly shocked. And imagine if you had the capacity to see like really shocking scenes in the future, like somebody dying or somebody, your best friend's fighting, right? Wouldn't you try to make sure that you did every action possible currently to try and prevent that future if you saw really negative futures, especially? Perhaps this is why Boruto didn't intervene between their two in their fight. He was full of anxiety as like, if he does this, then he might ruin the future. Perhaps this is what Momoshiki was referring to eventually. We don't actually know who is going to be the main villain. Is it Boruto or Kawaki? Because Kawaki wants to protect Naruto. He made that pretty clear. And Boruto wants what's best for all shinobi. Both are right, but why were they clashing in the first manga page as well as also in the anime, the first episode? And Momoshiki kind of already confirmed that the Jogan will be Boruto's undoing. Now, this is what he specifically said though, that those blue eyes will one day take everything from you. So now we know that the Jogan isn't his blue eyes. So that means when he's using his regular natural eyes, this is when Boruto's undoing will happen. Why? Well, the Jogan gives Boruto the ability to see the future. So think of the consequence it would have on the space-time continuum. Boruto will have to live with the pressure of knowing that every decision he makes, every step he takes, that Momoshiki will be watching, waiting to take over, and more importantly, his actions could alter the entire future that he foresaw with the Jogan. So Boruto would be going about his daily life thinking, maybe I shouldn't do this to prevent Mitsuki from fighting Kawaki, for example. Consequently, he might make the future worse than he foresaw. And perhaps with every glimpse into the future, Boruto will make more and more fatal mistakes. And perhaps it's not a real glimpse into the future, and this is just Momoshiki using Genjutsu on Boruto's mind to try and influence Boruto to fight Kawaki and destroy Konoha, under the guise of, you know, this is Boruto's power, that he's the one in control, seeing the future. Maybe this is a really sneaky way that Momoshiki is like pretending that Boruto's in control and Boruto has the power by giving him glimpses of a fake future. So again, who's the main villain? We already see that Kawaki is fighting Mitsuki, so perhaps Kawaki is the villain. We also see that Boruto is being manipulated by Momoshiki, so perhaps Boruto is the reason Konoha gets destroyed. Who knows? All I know is I'm excited for more glimpses into the future, which means we get to see a bit of a time skip type thing. So who do you got? Team Boruto or Team Kawaki?